Sanders received a message on Instagram detailing the tragedy at the Rainbow Terrace apartments, but rather than simply send money.
And I just wanted a day, for everybody to get out here, have some type of enjoyment, excitement, bring just the family atmosphere back.
He decided he would provide his time. The Garden Valley Fun Fest brought the community together with free food, drinks, haircuts, music, games, and community.
Shedeur Sanders was invited to the 2024 SPIs, a primetime award show filled with athletes, entertainers, and headline moments. But he didn't show up. Instead, he spent that same day in Cleveland, not for football, not for media, but for something entirely different. While most coverage centered around celebrity speeches and viral roasts, Sanders quietly chose community over cameras. He skipped the spotlight to support families affected by a local tragedy. The national media barely noticed. This is what happened and why it might matter more than any award. On June 23rd, an explosion rocked the Rainbow Terrace apartments in Cleveland. One person died, several were injured, and dozens of residents were suddenly without homes. Local news covered the incident, but within days, national media had moved on. Shedeur Sanders didn't. 3 weeks later, while other NFL rookies were wrapping up media rounds and preparing for training camps, Sanders returned to Cleveland, and not just to make an appearance, but to host a full-on event, the Garden Valley Fun Fest. The event took place right in the same neighborhood affected by the explosion, and it wasn't just a drop-by. It was a full day of food, music, games, free haircuts, health screenings, and even backpacks for kids preparing for school. More importantly, Sanders didn't just pose for photos and leave. He stayed. He played catch with neighborhood kids. He sat with families, took time for real conversations, and made sure the spotlight stayed on the people who needed it most. In his own words, Sanders said, "It's important for me to be here because I'm part of this community now. I'm playing here, but I also want to live here, and I want to do my part." There were no big network cameras, no red carpet moments, just a first-year NFL quarterback showing up because he said he would. That's what happened on the day he skipped the SPIs. Now, the ESPYs are more than just an award show. They're a national television moment, a chance for athletes to gain recognition, build their brands, and be part of the cultural spotlight. For a rookie like Shedeur Sanders, showing up would have made sense. He's entering the NFL under high expectations, with media attention already following him from his college days at Colorado. But instead of taking that opportunity, Sanders chose something different. Skipping the ESPYs wasn't just a scheduling conflict. It was a deliberate move. He gave up a moment on stage to be present for people who weren't going to make headlines. In doing so, he signaled that his priorities may not match the typical playbook for young athletes. He could have shown up, taken some pictures, done the interviews, and no one would have faulted him. Instead, he stayed low profile and focused on people who wouldn't get a second of ESPN airtime. It was a quiet choice, but not a small one. In a sports world that often rewards visibility, Sanders' decision made a different kind of statement. One that wasn't loud, but still carried weight, especially in the city he now calls home, Shedeur. Sanders' efforts went largely unnoticed by the broader media. In Cleveland, local outlets gave the Garden Valley Fun Fest some coverage, a few stories, some photos, light mentions. They noted Sanders' presence and highlighted moments like him tossing footballs with kids or handing out backpacks. But beyond that, complete and utter silence. There were no major headlines, no national media buzz, no panel discussions or viral interviews. Compared to the blanket coverage of the ESPYs, an event he skipped, this story was barely a blip dot. And yet, for the people who were there, it meant everything. The community saw him show up not for cameras, but for them. He wasn't there to promote a brand or drop a quote. He was simply present, connecting with families, giving his time, and making a difference. That's the disconnect. When an athlete shows up for something real without making it flashy, it often slips past the mainstream, not because it doesn't matter, but because it doesn't fit the usual narrative. But those who watched closely, those in Cleveland that day, knew exactly what they witnessed, a quiet kind of leadership the cameras just didn't catch. For the people of Cleveland's Garden Valley neighborhood, Shedeur Sanders' visit wasn't just appreciated, it felt personal. He didn't just show up for a quick photo op. He stayed. He talked with families. He laughed with the kids. He passed out school supplies, threw footballs, and made time for conversations. For many parents and children at the event, it was their first time meeting a high-profile athlete up close, and he didn't disappoint. Local residents praised Sanders not only for being there, but for how he handled himself. "He's real," one mother told a Cleveland outlet. "He didn't act like he was too important to talk to us." Others mentioned how refreshing it was to see a young player taking interest in a community event without cameras dictating his every move. In neighborhoods that often feel left out of big moments, his presence was a reminder that visibility doesn't have to come through a TV screen. Sanders made people feel seen, and that's something they won't forget. His choice to prioritize the event didn't just say something about him. It made the entire community feel like they mattered too. To understand why Shedeur Sanders' choice resonated so strongly, it helps to look at where he comes from and how he got here.
Defensive end Mike Hall, Cleveland boxer Montana Love, and others from around Cleveland, Sanders helped bring a little fun to a neighborhood that continues to heal.
We got to continue to come together and continue to love on each other and put our resources together so we can heal the community. And having a relationship and having a relationship with Shedeur Sanders where you now know that he's in your community, he understands what's going on in your community. He's been there, is different, it's so great.
I can tell everybody's vibe out here is down to earth. It's a lot of people that didn't want me coming out here doing it, but I don't understand why. God told me to come out here, so I'm never going to question his word.
Shedeur is more than just a promising quarterback. He's the son of Deion Sanders, a Hall of Famer who has long been in the spotlight. Growing up with that legacy could have easily put Shedeur in cruise control, but instead of relying on his name, he's worked to carve out his own lane. He started at Jackson State, an HBCU, when most top recruits were heading to Power 5 schools. That move alone said a lot. It wasn't about easy exposure. It was about making a statement. Under his father's leadership, Shedeur helped bring national attention to a program that had long been overlooked. He broke school records, drew record crowds, and became a face of the growing HBCU football movement. When he followed his dad to Colorado, the stakes got higher. For him, this just meant more media, more pressure, more eyes. But again, Shedeur kept showing up, calm under pressure, focused in interviews, and increasingly respected as a leader. Off the field, he's built a reputation for being grounded and aware of his platform. He's active on social media, but not reckless. He promotes brands, but not at the cost of authenticity. In short, he's not just living in the shadow of a famous name. He's building something of his own with a clear sense of purpose and a willingness to lead differently. What Shedeur Sanders did in Cleveland might seem small on the surface. Skipping an awards show to show up at a community event, it's not flashy. It doesn't trend for long. But in the bigger picture, moments like this carry real weight. Athletes today are more visible than ever. Every move, every post, every red carpet appearance is scrutinized. In that world, choosing to quietly prioritize people over publicity isn't just rare, it's intentional. Shedeur could have taken the ESPY spotlight, smiled for the cameras, and racked up clips for social media. No one would have blamed him. But by choosing Cleveland, he sent a different message, that showing up for your people, even when no one's watching, is just as important as the big stage moments, especially when you're still early in your career, especially when most of your peers are focused on building brands. It also shows what kind of leader Shedeur is shaping up to be, not just a quarterback who performs under pressure, but someone who knows when to speak, when to act, and when to simply be present. And in today's sports culture, that kind of leadership stands out.
Sanders downfield, got him in. What a throw. This is great quarterbacking, great quarterbacking. Watch this safety right here. Watch him be influenced by this tight end.
This isn't the first time Shedeur Sanders has stepped away from the spotlight to focus on what matters to him. And that's part of what makes his decision in Cleveland feel so consistent. It fits a larger pattern in how he moves. Whether it's staying late after games to connect with fans, quietly partnering with community groups, or using his platform to spotlight HBCUs. Shedeur has consistently chosen substance over spectacle. That approach reflects the influence of his upbringing, but also his own instincts. He seems to understand that fame is temporary and that how you use it matters more than how much of it you get. At a time when many young athletes are encouraged to focus on personal brand first, Shedeur's actions hint at a different playbook, one that values real relationships, personal integrity, and intentional decisions. It's also worth noting how he's influenced by his father, Deion, someone who once thrived on being the biggest personality in the room, but who now preaches purpose and character to his team. Shedeur has absorbed that message, but he's applying it in his own way, quietly, consistently, with impact. That's not just refreshing, it's rare. Shedeur Sanders didn't chase headlines, but he made one anyway. By skipping the ESPYs to give back in Cleveland, he showed what kind of player and person he's choosing to be. It wasn't a flashy move, but it was a meaningful one, the kind that sticks with people. And in a world where athletes are often judged by stats and sponsorships, moments like these remind us of the bigger picture.